President Trump says a new round of negotiations with Tehran is set to begin on Monday. Says a deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz may be close. He had called off a planned attack on Iran, citing pleas from U.S. allies in the Middle East, including Saudi Arabia.
What we're doing is we're talking to them in the form of a negotiation. It begins tomorrow afternoon, and we'll see if it's true. I'd love to do that, save a lot of lives, save a lot of unnecessary power, to be honest with you. It would take many, many years to ever build it back. If it could, I don't think it would be even buildable back. So we had an attack that would be the biggest attack since World War II.
Well, let's bring up Bloomberg senior editor Wendy Benjaminson. So I suppose, Wendy, after days of tit-for-tat escalation in these military operations, what's really changed here for the pause?
That's an excellent question, Heidi. And the answer is we're just sort of following, this step-by-step, watching the bouncing ball here from the White House. There was this long pause in the strikes, and then, some more attacks. And then Trump said that, Friday or Saturday, said that, he was going to hit them really hard and that, he was done with this. And then apparently the Saudi Crown Prince called and some other allies called and said, why don't you hold off? There's talks going on. Give us a couple of days. And that is apparently what the president agreed to. He said that separately, that talks, as you saw in that soundbite, that talks were starting tomorrow afternoon. But we're not sure with whom, at what level, what the topics are. We know that Iran and Oman, the two countries that are on either side of the Strait of Hormuz, we know that they're talking about administering the strait, about managing shipping through the strait. But no one has, they've also said, that this has nothing to do with whether the strait will be open or closed, that's up to the U.S. And then Trump said just a little while ago that the talks were also about their nuclear program, which we haven't heard from anyone else. So we're really not sure what is going on with these talks, except we know that as long as talks are going on, it looks like the strikes will be held back, and that may be a good thing certainly for our allies in the region.
And I do wonder if it is these Gulf allies that have been putting pressure, right? We had obviously Saudi Arabia, the Crown Prince, voicing his concerns. How much of this newfound restraint is because of that pressure, domestic pressure? Obviously, we've talked a lot about midterms coming up and the economy, because it's hard to kind of decipher how different this next potential ceasefire deal will be from the one that was previously negotiated and broken.
You're absolutely right. And I think the answer, Heidi, is all of the above. He is under tremendous political pressure. We're seeing polls even from conservative media that show that he is at the lowest approval rating for any U.S. president since Richard Nixon, who resigned in 1974 this week. Resigned in disgrace, to avoid a criminal prosecution. And so Trump is about at that level of popularity right now, even in conservative polls. Republicans are not looking like they're going to win a majority of seats in the House for the midterms, which is bad. The Senate is in play. And also, our allies in the region are really nervous about this expanding into a truly regional war. We've seen Egypt be struck. We've seen Saudi Arabia and the Houthis attacking each other. And we've seen Kuwait and Jordan and Oman and a lot of our U.S. allies in the region being hit by these attacks that are really targeted at American assets in the region, but are hitting them as well. So I think there's a lot of pressure for Trump to get out of this war. And so we'll see if he's willing to do it.